We are here today to talk about what happened to Grassroots marketing. And thanks to Kat for my intro. My name's Sophie. I'm the Director of Growth at Brainlabs for the Creator and Social division. And so basically what we spend our time doing, and the rest of our team, all day is thinking about how to really understand, get under the hood of, connect with the communities that our brands are, a part of the ecosystem with. And so it's no wonder that really the thing that sparked all of this for me was my real love of grassroots marketing. And so today we're going to really delve into what that means, why it's gone away, and how creator marketing has kind of taken its place in there. So I'm going to take you on a bit of a journey. We're going to start back in the 2010s, right, which, in my opinion, was almost like the apex of grassroots marketing. It was absolutely in every good brand, big brands, portfolio. It was really part of, how they came to market, how they showed up, how they connected with consumers. And I'm sure lots of you will recognize all of these on the screen. We've got our Doves, we've got our Red Bulls, we've got all of the gaming brands really were some of the first adopters. But the two I'll talk about are, first of all, the Sidemen. So from an organic perspective, even before they were the Sidemen, right? To be honest, they were just teenagers who liked gaming. They thought it was jokes. They made some content, which their friends also thought were jokes, and they kind of celebrated it and shared it. And obviously, we all know them now as the Sidemen, and the upside that they have enjoyed, the revenue, of course, is testament to the power that really held for them. A different one that we'll look at the bottom right there is This Girl Can, who collaborated with Sport England in 2015. And I'm highlighting this one because this one really spoke to me. It was the first time I'd seen other women in the gym doing competitive sports. And spoiler alert, it's not a face full of makeup. It's being red, sweat, really going in for it and reaping all the rewards that men do too when they play sport. And that was really put front and center, and it was brilliant. And it was something that really caught my attention. But the one that absolutely kind of reigns king for me, and still does, it is my Roman Empire, I think about it about 2 to 3 minutes a day at least, is Nike's Nothing Beats a Londoner that came out in 2018. I'm sure there'll be a couple of people who remember the ad. We will play it, bear with me, it is 3 minutes long, but just to really define what grassroots is and what it means, I think there's no better advert than this to kind of set the scene. It's going to paint 1,000 words better than I can.
I've had the longest day, man. You said you were going to come to me, now you're telling me to come to you. I'm not getting on a cycle.
Cycle? That's light work. Man's got to run 2 miles from ends just to get to training. Serious, bro?
2 miles? Really? I have to run all the way from Zone 6 with my school bag. Oh, you think that's tough? I have to run through Peckham at night.
What's wrong with Peckham?
Oh yeah? Well, I gotta fight these waste man just to play. This is my multi-purpose. Council funded, football, tennis, basketball court.
Fighting? You don't know the meaning of fighting. I have to fight my whole family before I even walk in the ring.
That's nothing. In my family, if you're not in first place, then you're considered a failure.
No, man, you're begging it. I got more chance of getting hit by lightning than going pro. It's mad.
Are you serious? I've got to get to the biggest game of my life, score a banger, right in the top bins, just to be noticed!
She gets to play with other people. Lucky. No one plays ice hockey in London. I have to be my own team, my own opposition, and my own coach.
Yeah? Well, I have to run to training, coach my own coach, carry my whole team, and I'm best mates. What will the role be?
No.
Huh?
Morning.
Oi, Mo! Ever play tennis in London?
That's easy. I only get one try to land it. Before getting caught by security.
Yeah? Well, I gotta be my own security, cuz.
So, if this goes wrong, I'll break my leg!
Even when I win, I get a broken nose.
Well, if I stop swimming, I'll literally die!
I don't even have a whole bike.
This is London.
Elite. Love it. Top tier. I didn't make it, but love it. This, to me, is the reason it is top tier, but being, truly serious, is for a number of reasons, right? That 3-minute advert and the campaign itself featured 258 young Londoners. So people who were born and bred in the city who really reflected, what it is to kind of see what we just saw on that screen. It was filmed in Dalston, Brixton, Peckham, Ali Pali, Richmond. So we're not just talking about one type of Londoner. Obviously, there's 14 million of us in the city. There's diversity, there's disparity, and I think they did, in 3 minutes, right, capture a really good subsect of what it means, especially youth, right, to live in this city and be born here. And then, of course, there is the celebrity and influencer inclusion in this video. And it wasn't just that they picked the people who had the biggest reach at the time. Some of them did, right? But we've got Skepta, Giggs, Michael Dapper, Sims did a little cameo in there, a number of others. But the reason that they were picked and they were so perfect for it is because they were a reflective pick. Yes, they're aspirational, but they were all, in their own way, whether that be through sport, music, whatever, part and parcel of creating the culture that was London in 2018 when this campaign came out. So that is really how we define kind of making a grassroots marketing campaign. It is that there is an identification of culture, and then how that works with, and it has to be right for the specific brand. In this case, of course, that was spot on for Nike. The biggest part of it is the understanding, is the integration, is the listening, not just the leveraging of understanding of that culture, so immersing yourself into it. And then, once you've done those two stages, yes, you come up with a concept, and you choose the perfect talent from that concept to kind of tell the story. And that, IMO, is how it should be done. Where we are today, and for the purpose of this talk, I'm calling it the big creative era, is almost on its head, right? And I'm sure lots of people in this room, if you're in marketing or brand side, you'll recognize sitting in a room, coming up with a concept because it's cool, it's jokes, whatever, great. Parachuting the biggest talent in, so they are your vehicle for getting views, and then we go to market. And it's a much shorter, truncated kind of flow, right? Because I think there is a lot more pressure on us. Speed is of the essence. We're asking to be made to go more efficiently, and this is kind of where we've ended in terms of the process of creating campaigns, marketing, advertising. And there is one advert that absolutely does this, kind of epitomizes this more than anything else recently to me, and that is Adidas's Backyard Legends, or their World Cup kind of film, if we can call it that, 5 minutes, 12 seconds long. And before we get into it, this is not a pissing on Adidas parade, right? I actually love it. I think it's brilliant. It's a really good piece of cinematography, if we can call it that. It was interesting. I love the story of these three kind of beating everyone else, the AI-generated Blonde Beckham, etc. But it was interesting to me that they chose that direction because being the World Cup, being Adidas, they have a real opportunity to take that grassroots approach, right? The World Cup is made up of communities, football communities, countries, kind of coming together to support teams. But instead, whilst, brilliant in a different way, I suppose, we've got someone like Timmy, who, all well, no shade to Timmy, but is kind of parachuted on the top because he is the actor du jour, he's favourable, he is the vehicle for views, he is the vehicle for likes. But is he reflective of what we can see on the screen here? Not really, right? Like, he likes football, we've all seen the clips, but he definitely was not part and parcel of creating that culture. So this is kind of where I'm getting to. So the other point there is that whilst Nothing Beats London, albeit in 2018, cost a reported $3.5 million to create, Backyard Legends in 2026 cost a reported $65 million to create. So this leads me to my point here, right? Like Backyard Legends borrows the visual grammar of community whilst operating at a level that community can never produce. And also whilst not really, it's not that duality, it's not that give and take and kind of enrichment, it is purely sort of a leveraging of the culture that kind of fits the moment. But it's not just Adidas. As I say, this is not a shade to Adidas moment. It's across the board, right? So we're seeing a good sport, Burberry's World Cup campaign, which came out last week, doing the same. Again, Burberry has real British heritage that they could have leaned into for this World Cup moment. But instead, the campaign is fronted by actors from Amanda Land, Ted Lasso, etc. We've got, moving away from World Cup, we've got two other brands, Money Supermarket and Uber Eats, who definitely could have a route in from a grassroots perspective, not just because of the brand itself, but literally from an operational standpoint. That is how they operate. They are local in the community. But instead, we have Jude Law and Judi Dench. So we've got to ask, why is everyone doing this? And why are people pulling away from grassroots? What is the reason for that? And ultimately, that is because we've already mentioned the speed piece, but there is another piece, and that is measurement. Over the last 10 years, or 8 years, sorry, since Nothing Beats London came out, there's been a huge development, acceleration in our ability to measure, which is fantastic. But it has now become more and more prevalent that the moment the campaign goes live, literally the day after, if not the week after, we are in the boardroom having to prove the efficacy or the success of the campaign when it sometimes just doesn't take that long. So that is why, from a brand level or kind of a top funnel level, these kind of metrics are the ones that brands often are asking for quick, smart. So reach, impressions, recall scores, that is kind of what the proof of success is. And the reason big creative fits that is because A, it gives security. So if you pop Timmy on the front of it, you're going to get, a huge vehicle of views. You're going to get a huge vehicle of likes. And he, as I say, is the actor of the moment. So he will get that mass appeal. He might not make you super, super loved and drive advocacy for your brand, but he's probably not going to piss anyone off either. Whereas what Grassroots was really good at doing was all of those longer term things. So driving cultural belonging, community trust, and really that word of mouth, which is not so easy to put in an Excel spreadsheet or in a PowerPoint document. And that is wherein we lie with the issue and ultimately kind of has seen a bit of a decline in grassroots marketing. And you've got to really want to do it and fight the grain to be able to get the budget signed off these days. However, people did not stop remembering the worth, right, of grassroots. It didn't just disappear and vanish into thin air. There was something bubbling under the surface that I think was seen as almost a proxy, right? But something that was slightly easier to control, easier to corral. And that was creator marketing. So obviously, the creator marketing and grassroots have similarities. They work together to a degree in that creators really have, often are from the ground up, not bottom down. They have really nurtured and are a part of creating their communities. But they are also individuals who have followers, who you're able to measure those views, you're able to kind of measure that brand recall because they've got recognizable faces. And if we think about that for a second, that is part why I have to believe this huge upsurge in creator marketing has happened, not in the last 10 years, in the last 2 years. It's gone from being worth globally 30 billion, or just shy of, to $44.5 billion in 2 years. We then have 81% of UK brands saying that they are intending on spending more on influence marketing this year. So we can assume that number in 2026 goes up again in 27, 28, 29. And we can also see that creator marketing is growing at 4 times the pace of the rest of the media landscape, which is just mind-blowing. But if we take a minute to think of creator marketing not just as numbers, but as an industry, we do have to go a little bit further back to think about its evolution. And some of these might be familiar to some people who were on Vine and Tumblr and whatnot. Damn Daniel will live forever in my mind. But you have your first creators, right? So your Zoellas in the YouTube era. And they really, like the Sidemen that we saw earlier, they were really trading on just really having that connection, really being an individual in a community that almost was the voice person for that moment in time, that niche, that vertical. We then speed through to 2018, 2020, at the same time, around the same time as Nothing Beats a Londoner, and we've seen a real evolution at this point. So we've got Molly May after being in Love Island in 2019. We've got KSI, who's almost broken off from the Sidemen at this point to create his own identity, create his own revenue, and all of the rest of it. We've also got Joe Wicks, who obviously hearts and minds in COVID. And this is also the point where brands are like, this is really fantastic. These people can be the kind of the connection for me to those audiences that I now can spend maybe slightly less money on, but be able to prove in the boardroom. And now we're in 2025-26, right? So these campaigns, I'm just featuring Amelia de Moldenberg, obviously one of the creators of the moment, and it feels to me like we are on a real cusp or a real juncture, can I say. So these are a couple of the things she's done recently, and some brands are really getting it right, using and maintaining the integrity of influencers and creators for what they are meant to be used for, like what they really love doing, how they started. So Peachy Den and F1, brilliant campaigns which went down fantastically well with their audiences and really connected. She was given almost free reign. It was definitely co-collaborative at the very least. Whereas we have Converse's Truckmates, which probably didn't land quite as well as they had wanted it to. Why? Because Amelia was basically made into a little celebrity that they scripted, that they put in a studio and asked her to go. It didn't really connect with who Amelia is and therefore who her direct community is, albeit a very large community at this point. And that is my fear, that we are on the cusp of driving creator marketing the same direction as we did Grassroots. So when it doesn't quite fit the mold, when we can't quite control it, we're trying to make it something and force it into a hole that it wasn't made for. And actually at that point it loses the uniqueness, the thing that made it special in the first place. But we are not quite there yet, and I'm assuming that at the very least, everyone in this room, you're going to be interested in creator marketing, if not actively working in it, brand side, agency side, whatnot. And so I really think it's down to us, right, to look to shepherd creator marketing in the right direction so that it maintains its specialness, its uniqueness, and its longevity, quite frankly, because if we don't, that is the jeopardy. So here today to talk a little bit about how we can all do that, and the three kind of key pillars as it seems to me. One is greater creator autonomy. So we've just seen with Amelia de Moldenberg, that was the kind of key to the success of those campaigns and the failure of those that didn't work so well. Prioritization and, I should say, education around longer term brand health metrics and the importance of them and why we have to be looking at those when we think about creator marketing or successful creator marketing. And then, lastly, starting with a culture-first approach. So, we're not going to talk about greater creative autonomy, does what it says on the tin. You've probably seen some other speeches today doing that, so we'll move on. But do it. So the second one is prioritization of longer-term brand health metrics. And previously, that has been really hard to do. We're all fighting with our CMOs, with our stakeholders, etc., because there was nothing really tangible to prove it. But woo, good for us. We are in a day and age where there now is, with the IPA coming out with their longevity and ROI contribution study in October last year. We can see that influencer amongst all the other kind of core media types, if we look at it on a short-term contribution and ROI index basis, it's okay. It's in the middle, that orange one there. It's actually around the same as paid social, which I think a lot of people would find interesting. But it does a decent job. But when we start to look at it from a long-term contribution and ROI index basis, it's right up there at the top, alongside TV, essentially. So that is really, really interesting, and that's why we have to look at it in this lens. Then, when we start to look at the long-term multiplier effect of creator marketing, it is number one with a 3.35 index up there. So it is literally probably the strongest tool we have in our arsenal to create that long-term connection with our audience. So it's not a fair race, right? If we're running in this, which we're not made for, it's like me running the 800 when actually I can't do any running. But anyway, you get the gist. So that is why we need to spend time educating far and wide to whoever we can. So now we're all living in a happy utopia where all of our brands and agencies and everything are all letting us do long-term measurement metrics, we now can absolutely start to focus in on starting with a culture-first approach. They actually will level each other up, right? If we're allowed to take that slightly longer time to see the success and efficacy. But how? We get asked that question all the time. How do you do that? Like, where do you even start to think about, finding out the topic that's going to really connect with the community? So I thought we might have a look at what that means today. South by Southwest London. So for everyone in the room, obviously, we're all here. What is it that people have been talking about? What is it that it happens to be connecting with everyone here? And the way that we do that at Brainlabs is we start with a keyword analysis. That's always the kind of starting point. And what this is we have proprietary tech that sort of scrapes across social. So this is Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We can see this is the last 90 days, all words associated with South by Southwest London that are coming up. So that's the main topic. What are the micro topics underneath? And we can see a vast array of things pop up. On this y-axis, you can see the views, and on the x-axis, you can see engagement. So in that top, I think it's right for you, corner, that's like the sweet spot, because that means that you've seen that topic or that conversation has seen huge views, but also managed to maintain its engagement. And all the stuff, I'm not sure if you can see it, it's quite small, but all the stuff on this is kind of what you'd expect, right? There's some films up there that people are going to see the screening of, there's some music, there's what to go and see. People are looking from a discovery standpoint. We love to see creator marketing is on there as a topic in its own right. But the ones right at the top, both highest views and highest engagement, is DJ AG. Very interesting. So obviously he did a wicked set last night. It was 4 hours. He's doing a speech tomorrow. So he is here. He is present at the festival. But when we started to look into actually what were people talking about him in conjunction with the festival, there were a couple of, content types really that were flagging up. The first is he bringing celeb guests? Is he going to do some kind of like surprise Will Smith appearance? So that is kind of, I guess, one that may be relatively obvious. There was another about the finding of young talent. Is he going to be out there trying to find the gems in the rough, etc.? And the last was community integration. Is he, like, how are essentially South by Southwest integrating him into, thank you Hackney Council for hosting us all, over the course of this last 6 days. And I think, love South by Southwest, I want to come back next year. But I think we have done the celeb guests bit well. He was obviously, as I say, he was there doing a set last night, fantastic. The young talent piece has been done, during that session as well. But we could go a lot further than that. What about if he was there, if he's almost like working as an ambassador, if you like, for South by Southwest, through the 6 days, on a hunt to find that new talent, that young talent, like really shine a light on them. So it's almost like South by Southwest finds, like that would be really, really cool. The community integration piece, so this is lovely Carol from Poplar Care Home. Obviously, we are in a borough that is rich with and has given so much. If we are the intersection of arts, culture, creativity, tech. We don't just take. We give back. That is the nature of the businesses that we are in, and that could be a really ripe opportunity, right, for perhaps next year or the years to come. Really, kind of giving back, going in, sharing the experience with those who aren't fortunate enough to be here or don't have tickets, right? So really, kind of getting that experience out far and wide, making a holistic chain of loveliness. If there's, I'm running out of time here, but if there is basically 2 things to take away, or one main thing really to take away from the speech today, it is if you were thinking, or if anyone from South by Southwest might be in the room thinking about the campaigns for the years to come, and you're thinking, who would I put in front of a tech, business, culture, arts event as the kind of spokesperson? We're not doing this man anymore. No more Stephen Bartlett's. All be more DJG. Thank you so much. I'm open for any questions. We're going to be around a little bit longer.